I'm here, driving on a rainy night, sitting at a traffic light, but nothing ever seems to change. It's clear
Hey everybody, thanks for coming back and hanging out. Appreciate it. Sorry about the first go around. I don't know what happened. It just kind of didn't work. So I don't know why. I did drop my phone today in the water, so that might have something to do with it, or maybe too many games of ABC Mouse and Wrigley's been watching. But anyway, I restarted my phone and now we're back, so it's all working good. So I appreciate you guys coming, hanging out. Those of you that are first timers, I'm doing a weekly series discussing individual songs on my new record, Beautiful Brand New Day. This week we're going to be discussing Far to Go. The record's available on iTunes, on Apple Music, it's on Spotify. I think you can even Shazam me if you want, if you are so inclined. But I doubt you're going to hear it in a restaurant and go, "What song is this?" But anyway, I really do appreciate everybody that's downloaded the record so far. I'm going to be running through, how this song came about and how I recorded it a little bit, and I also will ask if you have any questions. Feel free to ask, and I will answer as many as you want. So, a little quick note: we had a little fun thing last night. Six Wire, we played Alan Jackson's daughter's wedding last night, and we don't ever do weddings, but because it was Alan, we thought it might be fun, so we did it. And it's at his house, which is a castle. I swear, the place is massive, and that was pretty crazy, but that was kind of fun. And he came up and sang with us, and did Chattahoochee and a couple other things. But it was a fun night. We had a good time. And anyway, I'll give you a quick update. We're leaving in 2 days to go and film. Reagan is going to be on Wheel of Fortune, and so we're going to go and tape that. The episode won't air until April or May, but we're going to go down there and let her go down and win us $1 million real quick. So that's what's going on with us. Anyway, we're going to be discussing Far to Go from my record. And this song, I wrote this song about, I have the date here actually. I think I do. I wrote this song, there's no date. There you go. I think it was in, I want to say 2009. And I was kind of down, a little bit down. Your times in Nashville can go through some ups and downs, and this was a little bit of a down for me. I wasn't depressed or anything, but just, when you keep thinking as you're on your route throughout your career, that it will stay on an upward slope. But there was a time, and in that time when I just kind of felt the music business had changed a pretty good bit. I kind of felt disconnected from Nashville a pretty good bit, where I was kind of in the middle of things and writing songs all the time and getting holds and getting cuts and things like that. It seemed that it all kind of slowed down a pretty good bit, and I was just kind of just one of those times. I was in a relationship. It was at the end of a pretty long relationship, and it was kind of just, inevitably falling apart, and my opportunities in Nashville felt like they were kind of getting less and less, and I was feeling a little bit disconnected from Nashville, feeling like maybe Nashville might have been done with me, and just feeling a little bit sorry for myself, I guess. I was sitting. This is exactly what it was. I was sitting at a Waffle House in Rivergate, Tennessee. At that point, I lived kind of on that end of town, and I was by myself. It was raining, and I was just sitting there. It was like midnight. It was really late. I was at the Waffle. I'd been working or something, and I was hungry, so I went to Waffle House. I love Waffle House. And I went to Waffle House, and I was sitting there. I was the only person in the entire restaurant. It was on a weeknight, real gloomy night. I think it was in the late fall. It was kind of cold out, and the cook and the waitress were outside smoking a cigarette, as all Waffle House employees do. And I was eating my breakfast, and they were talking to a homeless man who had walked in, and I was kind of watching what was going down. The cook came back in, and the homeless guy came in and sat down at the counter. Waitress came over and asked me how I was doing, and I said, I'm fine. I said, what's the story here with this guy? And she said, well, he needed something to eat, so the cook is going to make him some breakfast. And I said, oh, he's going to give him some free food? And she said, no, he's going to pay for it out of his pocket, And I was like, wow, I said, and it just hit me like a ton of bricks, kind of like, what am I worried about? gonna go get in my car and I'm gonna go back to my house, you know, when I get done with this. And here's this guy. He needs something to eat. So I just decided I was gonna stop feeling sorry for myself, and I just decided I paid for my check. I paid for the homeless guy's check, and I got in my car and I was sitting at a traffic light. It's pouring rain, and the line came to me. I'm here driving on a rainy night, sitting at a traffic light, but nothing ever seems to change. And that's I'm sure that line's been written before, but it was new to me, and I just kind of decided to. I was like, as a songwriter, you know, I mean, I wasn't necessarily. I don't think I was as down as the guy in the song sounds like he is. But as a writer, you kind of you get those chances to write things. You put yourself in that emotional spot, and that's kind of where I was. I was a little vulnerable, you know. And, I mean, again, I kind of felt like Nashville had moved on away from me, and I just kind of, you know, it seemed like I just didn't have a lot of action going on, and just, you know, things were just kind of doing their thing. So anyway, so I go home from that, and I start just playing guitar. Yeah. Let me tilt this down a little bit. Oh, sorry about my hand there, everybody. It's kind of disgusting. Anyway, and I just sang the first time. I'm here driving on a rainy night, sitting at a traffic light. Nothing ever seems to change. I just started playing. I wrote the song on guitar. Oh, by the way, this is a neat little thing. By the way, I'll talk about this thing a little bit more. This is called the Tonewood amp, and it's the coolest little thing. It adds reverb and delay, and it can even trigger like a cello or a piano sounds, and it comes out of the sound hole of your guitar. Craziest thing. Very, very inspirational when I'm playing acoustic guitar to give me a little bit extra stuff. Here's without it, and here's with it. I wrote we're gonna cover another song next week called "The Fighter," and this little box was pretty inspirational in the writing of that song, and I'll talk about it next week. It's called the Tonewood amp. They're out of Phoenix, and they're really nice, very small, very nice company. But anyway, I digress. I decided that I'm here, and I wrote that down while I was in my car. I'm here driving on a rainy night, sitting at a traffic light, but nothing ever seems. I wrote that down. That's because and again, you know, I say this every week, but being the Beatles fan that I am, I just like those chords and melodies that go against a lot of major, minor changes that you won't really expect. You know, this is what the Beatles are so well known for. And melodies and things like that. So I say, I'm here driving on a rainy night, sitting at a traffic light. Nothing ever seems to change. It's clear nothing is the way it should be. I wonder what I've done with me. I only have myself to blame. And I just kind of went with it from there. I kind of felt like... Again, it was just, lines just started coming. I wrote this song in about 30 minutes, and that doesn't happen super often with me, especially all the songs on this record I wrote by myself, and this one is the same. So when I write by myself, I feel like I get a chance to maybe stretch outside the box a bit, and maybe not just do business of trying to write a song and try to get a cut. But this is more of just writing a song because there was something on my mind, and I wanted to have the mood of the song be what it was, but also be musical and beautiful, you know. And that's kind of what I did. There's a lot of lyrics in this song that I probably, if somebody else would have been in the room with me, I'm not sure I would have written them. I wouldn't have had the creative license, I think, that I would have had if someone had been there kind of keeping an eye on things and saying, well, I'm not sure if a lot of artists would sing that, you know. This is one of those days that I kind of felt like I I wasn't really writing it for that. If someone listens to it and they go, oh, that's fantastic, I want to, that's how I feel too, whatever, then then it's just fine. But this is one of those songs that just kind of wrote itself. The lyrics just kept pouring. There's a lot of things I'm super proud of lyrically. It's no illusion that all this confusion is a comfortable friend to know. And that, to me, that was, I guess, sometimes you do things and you just keep, you know that you're kind of messing up, but you just kind of keep doing it. And I think I did some of that, just not messing up in a big way like I was hurting anybody, just messing up by not staying as busy as I should have probably, or not booking enough co-writes with people that can help me get cuts or things like that. I think maybe I just kind of coasted. I think I coasted for a while, and I knew it. I guess I knew that I was kind of coasting and kind of calling myself out a little bit. But there are people that take that to a lot further level. They know that whatever they're doing is dangerous to themselves and their relationships and their friends and their family, but they just keep continuing down that road. The song I would discuss next week, called "The Fighter," was inspired by that whole situation. It's just one of those, people. Sometimes people just stop fighting, and they don't really care that they've just taken everything and they're going down the wrong road, but they don't care. And I know lots of people like that. I know y'all all know people like that. And we all do it on maybe on smaller levels that aren't going to affect your family and your life and things like that. But I think I did just in my musical life. I think I probably could have tried harder. I probably could have just done things a little bit differently. But I kept doing the things that I was doing, thinking that as long as I made music that was great, that I would succeed with it. So that's I've taken chances on awkward slow dances, and all that I have to show is now if I fall, I don't have very far to go. And that's kind of, it was, and that title just came as the lyrics came. I've mentioned before in my other videos, if I don't have something I'm writing toward, a lighthouse of lyric to write toward, sometimes it's difficult for me to write and close things up with a nice hook at the end. And this one didn't really have a hook. It just had, it wasn't one of those big zingers at the end that you were like, oh, I didn't see that coming. It's just telling a story about a guy who's just like, man, this is, I'm kind of at the bottom. I don't really want to be at the bottom, but here I am. So I might as well embrace it and just trying to figure out. The only good thing about it is if I fall anymore, so I don't have very far to go. So that was kind of the thought of it, Another thing, it was a little bit more autobiographical. I laugh when it's obvious I should cry, and when I take a look in my eyes, I see the fighter down below. I'm a stray that's lost on the way, a pawn that was played by the game. I guess that's how the story goes. And and now, again, I'm talking about the music business, where I feel like I was just kind of let out. The car's rolling along, and somebody let me out on the highway, and then the car just kept on going. And I just kind of feel like I'm just trying to figure out how to get back home, And again, when your bad decisions become your religion, your cross to bear is a heavy load. No depth perception or sense of direction have taken me down this road. So now if I fall, I don't have very far to go. And I'm pretty proud of those lyrics. It was just one of those things. I could only write as fast as the lyrics were coming out. And it's just, sometimes if you're a songwriter, you know what I'm saying. Sometimes songs are easier to write than others. And this, and if you have the idea and all you need, if you have the idea and the melody and the chords and you have the idea and know how the song, where the song is headed, sometimes it's just filling in the blanks. And for some reason, with me being where I was, it was the middle of the night and I was by myself. It was rainy. It was gross. There was nobody calling. Nobody was Nobody was in the middle of, I wasn't having to answer the phone or answer emails or whatever. There's no distractions, and it just kind of. And one of my favorite lines, repeats the first verse. I'm here driving on a rainy night, sitting at a traffic light, but nothing ever seems to change. So smoke if you got 'em, 'cause down at the bottom you get a good view of the show. And that's I don't know. That's, I guess, a little self-deprecating again, but it was just kind of one of those things that the song. It's just, I don't know. I just, this is one of my favorite songs I've written. Again, it's a pretty old song. It's like probably getting close to 10 years old, 9 years old, something like that. And but it made the cut on the on my record, and I took it and I just I kept the demo from that I did long ago, and just kind of spruced it up a little bit. I didn't really change anything musically. I think I replayed some of the guitars just because they just felt like they were they could be a little bit freshened up. I had my Kemper, and I wanted to make them just a little bit sonically better than they were. My tones weren't as good then as they are now. I feel like the tones are better. So I went back in and replayed some guitars, a little bit tougher guitars, and but there were some pretty cool things going on in the track, and I'll share some of that with you as well. Let me turn this around, and you can kind of follow along if you want to. This is some interesting things that I did when I was tracking. Again, this is Pro Tools. I'm gonna go back and listen to some of these things that I did. It just starts off real simple with the little Wurlitzer and the acoustic guitar.
I'm here, driving on a rainy night, sitting at a traffic light, but nothing ever seems to change. It's clear.
And I loved how that nothing was happening until right then. You think it's going to be a ballad, and it just turns into be kind of a really, really big song with the drums coming in.
It's clear that nothing is the way it should be. I wonder what I've done with me. I only have myself to blame.
So then right here, I just thought I'd just go all the way out and just bring in these big distorted guitars along with these clean ones. So that combined with, the real heavy guitars combined with like real pretty vocals, like the, I have this kind of going on with the background vocals and the lead. Let's see, here it goes.
It's no illusion at all. This confusion is a comfortable friend to know. I've taken chances on awkward slow dances, and all that I have to show is now if I fall, I don't have very far to go.
I do a lot of things like that with vocals, where, to make them real pretty and double them up and spread them out really wide.
A stray that was lost on a way, a pawn that was played by the game. I guess that's how the story.
So there's that. So in the solo again, and there is a solo, and this one there's an actual guitar solo going on, but there's also a lot of vocals that are kind of doing the solo. I do that a lot when I record these kinds of songs, just because I just love the sound of it, and so the solo has this going on underneath it. So and then on, so the solo is going on. Back to the top.
Driving on a rainy night, sitting at a traffic light. Nothing ever seems to change. So smoke if you got 'em, 'cause down at the bottom you get a good view of the show. Now if I fall, I don't have very far to go. Now if I fall, I don't have very far to go.
So there's that. Recorded it. That's on this record. I played all the instruments myself, except for on a few tracks, and this is one of the tracks that Chuck Tilley's playing drums on. Years ago, back when I used to, that was the only way I could actually get some great drums, was to have Chuck come over, and he plays on all my stuff here. Still, we got a drum set up in the studio, in the control room up there, in the drum booth up there. I'm sorry, in the vocal booth too, and. So he played that. I replaced some kick and snare and stuff to give it some beef. But so anyway, so that's kind of how I did the recording and the writing of that song. If you guys have any, I guess see if Reagan's watching down there. She's going to come up here, and I think she's been kind of keeping track of some things, or maybe it's just some other questions. Also, I think Wrigley is napping. I apologize, everybody, if that's the only reason you were tuning in. But there was a question about me playing. I did see earlier about me playing, doing some things just acoustically or whatever. I do rider nights and rider rounds and things like that a lot. I know my buddy Philip Coleman just messaged me the other day about doing a thing at the Bluebird, and I used to play the Bluebird a lot more often than I do now. But I really enjoy doing those kinds of things. I'm actually going to do a thing. I mentioned that Tonewood amp, the Tonewood amp people. Oh, look, the room just got a little prettier. The Tonewood amp people, we're doing a thing at Two Old Hippies in I believe it's November. I'll have the date for that next week when we discuss my song "The Fighter," which is the next song which I used the Tonewood amp to write the song with. So yeah, I do things obviously if I'm playing out and doing some things like that. Andy Childs, the singer in Six Wire, and we do a lot of rider night things together, just because we can sing on each other's stuff, and that's always really cool and a lot of fun. But and there's been talk of Six Wire actually doing a night at the Bluebird as well. So if that actually comes to be, I'll make sure to let everybody know. But anyway, were there any questions?
Yes. Would you consider doing the Bluebird or other similar venues around the country with these songs?
Oh, around the country. Well, yeah, I guess so. I mean, obviously we can't come for free. So, if that would be interesting to people, I've had a lot of songs cut. I've had a few on the radio. Usually guys that have had more cuts than me go do those kinds of things because it's a bigger draw. First of all, me as a songwriter, even though that's a lot of what I do, don't know that I'm a household name, wouldn't draw a ton of people to come see me play, but I would love to. I love doing things like that. If I've done a lot of things around the country with other writers and things like that. And it's always a lot of fun.
When will your physical CDs be out, and are you planning any more in the future?
We are in the works of doing the artwork for the actual CD, and I will have them for sale on my website. Hopefully within the next, I'm hoping by before the end of the year. I'm hoping by November I should have things done. They will be for sale at our 6-Wire shows we do at 3rd and Lindsley. I'll try to have some with me when we go around the country. Chip, Charles Eston. Chip has graciously asked that I sell my CDs at his shows, so I'll have a few available there as well. So yeah, that is in the works. I wasn't going to do it, but then I was kind of thinking that maybe I might go ahead and do it. As far as another record, it's already in the works. There's also a 6-Wire record in the works, but I have this particular record. I wanted to be mostly. I wanted to be all songs that I wrote by myself. I have so many songs that I'm super proud of that I wrote with other people. And that is going to be the next thing that I release. I also have a one that's a little bit more country kind of in my head to do as well. So, it's just this. It's kind of sparked me to. I'm probably they're not flying off the shelves, I'm sure, but just the fact that people are interested in my music, and it's kind of inspired me to put some more things out there. So and just so there's definitely some more stuff in the hopper.
Dee said Trisha sings a song. The song remembers when. Do you think songs keep our memories alive?
All right, I've told Reagan this story 1,000 times. Do I think that songs keep memories alive? Let me tell you this, and y'all can tell me if y'all do the same thing. I was 14, maybe 15 years old, and I was on the tennis team at Lakeview High School in San Angelo, Texas, and I was the only freshman. How old are you when you're a freshman? 13, 14, whatever, however you were. And I was the only freshman that was going to go to a tennis tournament in Abilene, Texas, which was a couple hours away, at a really nice country club. And we went up. My mom drove me up in the middle of the night. We got there as the sun was coming up. We pull into this really nice. Now you got to understand, that in San Angelo, I was wearing gray track sweats. I didn't have the nice fancy tennis outfit. I was looking at the sweats and all that stuff. I was wearing gray track sweats that said Lakeview Track or whatever, and I looked probably like a hobo. But anyway, I walk up. As we drive around the corner, I see this nice thing. There's all these kids in these cool satiny tennis things, and I'm such a fish out of water. The Year of the Cat by Al Stewart was playing on the radio. Okay? It was popular at the time. So, to this day, when I hear The Year of the Cat, I get nervous. And that's...
We say it every time.
I get nervous. I swear, every time I hear it, I get the same butterflies in my stomach. We listen to XM radio a lot in our cars, and there's so many times I'll be listening to a song, and I'm in the back seat of my dad's car. Absolutely, songs hold memory, just like taste or smells or anything like that. But for me, being a musician, and maybe not even so much just for me, but I think for everybody. You hear something and it just, oh my gosh, every time I hear this song, I think of driving down this road, or I was at this person's house, or was with this other person, or whatever. I say, yeah, absolutely. I think music's the most powerful for bringing back memory.
Someone said they liked the way you had the studio set up and wondered how long it took you to set it up the way you wanted it to be. And also, do you ever go back to analog for anything? If so, what?
My studio is is always. I mean, I would. My studio's never how I want it to be. I mean, if I had, you know, a couple $100,000, then maybe it would be exactly how I want it to be. But I love my studio. It's a super creative space. I did all the treatments, the sound treatments myself. I put all the gear together. Here's another quick little look-see on all my stuff. This is a Soundcraft Ghost that's been modified. My controllers for Pro Tools are right here. The keyboard for the computer, which is in this big case right here, and my keyboards and everything right here. My Kemper's not here because we did a show last night, but here's my guitars, and a bunch more guitars over there, and my little workspace, and all this stuff is, like I said, I did all this treatment on the walls and that treatment back there, plus all the stuff that's upstairs and things like that. I did that all myself because I want this to be a really creative space, not just for me, but I cut a lot of records here, do custom projects for people, and I want them to feel like they're, you know, they're in a professional spot. And that door, when we first moved into this house, that was just open. And when we first moved in, I'd be sitting here playing acoustic. I used to do all of my acoustic and my vocals right here. And I would have to go downstairs because Reagan would be in the master bedroom with the door shut. And I could hear her on the phone just because the microphones were so sensitive. I said, man, we just can't. I just said, I'm sorry, you have to, like, can you call them back till I get done with this part? It's really quiet part. Whatever.
Also, I talk loud.
And she's a loud talker, yeah. I don't want to say that. But so I was actually, I'm always in here working, but I was actually working on a Cliff Richard record. Those of you that don't know Cliff Richard, look him up. He's an amazing artist from Great Britain. I had the honor of producing 2 or 3 of his records. And while we were in the studio working, I had a guy come over and put in that door with the help of our buddy Dino Elefante, who helped me find the awesome studio door. And so I've modified this room to make it how I want it, and it is a very comfortable space. I got the big TV. I can watch baseball and work if I need to, and hockey and whatever else, or crappy Titans. So yeah, this it's, but you know, again, all of us who have studios in our homes, or I think they're as my dear friend Peter Frampton said to me one time. I asked him, he's not my dear friend. we're acquaintances, but anyway, I had one of the first questions I asked him. I said, "Are you still working? I have one question for you, guitar-wise. Are you still working on your tone?" And he said, "Yeah, of course." You know, he said, "That's half the fun. I mean, guitar tone is a journey, not a destination." And I think putting a studio together and have a studio in your home is the same way. You're always upgrading. You're always looking for new little plug-ins on your. Well, actually, that's another thing. You might not even know what a plug-in is. When you're recording in Pro Tools, you use plug-ins. Getting to the other thing about going analog or digital. This is basically a replication of an actual SSL, solid state logic console, and it's modeled. This is a Waves plugin right here, made by the company Waves, and it models an actual strip on a console. And there's a lot of different things, you know, that you can do with different plugins, things like that. There's a piano, and there's all different things. There's just a channel strip, and then limiters, things like that. And this is Greek to a lot of you, but that's how we do things. That's how we can have studios in homes and not have to go through go to a big studio, a big $1 million studio, and use all the gear, because you have, you know, really believable representations of digital representations, things like that. As far as analog, that's all we used to ever do. Before you did a session, the first thing you did is you went to the tape place and you bought a roll of 2-inch tape, and it was just this big, massive reel to reel of 2-inch tape, and you could get about, if you were smart about it, you could get about 5 songs on it, and you had 24 tracks. I mean, this song alone, I think the drums by themselves are about 16 tracks. So just that's another good thing about digital. You have almost infinite amount of tracks. The digital sound compared to the analog sound, especially early on, there was no comparison. The analog stuff was just so much better. Now almost everything is cut digital on Pro Tools or Logic or Cubase or all these different kinds of programs that people use. Pro Tools is kind of rules here in Nashville. I don't know if you know where it is. I think Logic is really really popular over in Europe and things like that. But for here, it's Pro Tools. It's the kind of industry standard here. And when I had my first single on the radio, I wrote for a little while for Tim McGraw, and I remember I was talking to Desmond Child, and he said, "What are you gonna do with your money?" And I was like, "I don't know." He says, "You should buy a Pro Tools rig." And I was like, "Okay, never thought about it." But I thought, "Yeah, okay, I'll do it." So I did, and that was my initial introduction to Pro Tools, and I started just kind of teaching myself. Everything I've done, I've taught myself either on just on YouTube, trying to figure, how do I do this, or I read things. You can ask Reagan. I'm constantly researching or taking a class or on something online. Or I don't know how to do this. Why can't my snare drum poke out like I want it to? And then I'll go and look. And one of my favorite mixers is Chris Lord Alge, and he has a bunch of tutorials online, and I just watch them and learn. And so I don't really use analog that much because it's not practical for me. I don't have anything against analog. I think it's fantastic. I'm just a digital guy, and I like the options that I have when things are digital, and you can change things or move things around, or audio that you can see, and you can edit and do crazy things. And I just think that if you want to keep up and do things that, for me, I like staying in the digital world.
Are you writing any new songs for yourself or anyone else currently? Christy Dorr wants to know.
I am. Hi, Christy Dorr. I went to school with Christy Dorr. I'm kind of always writing. I mentioned before in another video that we're always writing down ideas or putting little ideas and singing them into our phones or whatever. And I think as songwriters, that's what we do. I don't know one songwriter that doesn't do that. I write with my buddy Chip Eston all the time, and him and me both got we got our long list of things in our voice memos on our iPhones. It's just little blips and bloops of songs or song ideas or melodies or things like that. And so I'm constantly writing. I've been so busy with projects lately. I just finished up a Christmas project for French-Canadian artist Guylaine Tanguay, and I've been mixing that for the last couple of weeks. So I've been pretty busy with that. So I haven't had a lot of time to just strap a guitar on. And but a lot of times in the morning, I'm the first one up in our house, so I'll come up here and just play guitar. And or like I say, my buddy, I got an engineer buddy his name is Chip Matthews, and he does a lot of stuff around town. He's got a saying. It goes something like, you spend 50% of your time earning and 50% of your time learning, and that's what I try to do. So I try to come up here and make use of my time while I'm up here. And so a lot of that time is spent writing. A lot of it is just trying to figure out how to be better up here in the studio.
Holly Rhodes wanted to know if you and Six Wire will be playing with Chip in South Bend, Indiana on November 18th, and I just looked at the calendar, and you are. We are
going to be there. I believe Claire Bowen is going to be on that show as well in Indiana. That we're looking forward to that one. We always love playing with Claire as well, and she's always a treat. And There's usually glitter everywhere when you leave a show like that, all over your stuff and all over you, but that's the way we like it. So, but yeah, we'll be at that show. We're going to be at the Grizzly Rose in Denver with Chip in November. Got a few things coming up. So yeah, I think all that stuff is on it's a Sixwire on our Sixwire calendars. You can go to sixwire.com and check that out.
How many songs have you written that are a personal experience from your life?
How many songs have I written that are personal experience from my life? I'm not sure. Can y'all hear Reagan when she talks? Somebody say yes or no here in the comments. We'll look and see. But it's hard. You don't keep track of things. I remember asking. I was so blown away. I was talking to Craig Wiseman, who's a massive songwriter here in Nashville. A lot of you know his songs for sure. And I asked him one time, we were hanging out, and I said, "How many songs are you?" So one said no, one said yeah.
My mom said yes.
Oh yeah. Okay, good. I could hear it. Anyway, that's pretty funny. I asked Craig. I said, "How many songs have you had cut?" And he was like, "I don't know." And I was like, "Whatever, you know. You don't know how many songs, but you get songs cut in so many weird ways and so many weird places and stuff." And I haven't had a fraction of the amount of things that he's had cut, and I don't know how many songs I've had cut. It's a bunch, but it's not like a bunch like I'm a multi-billion-dollar songwriter. But so same goes for songs. I have no idea how many songs I've written just in general. Thousands. It's got to be. And as far as ones written with personal experience, I think, I don't want to be too We Are the World here or whatever, but I think every song has a little bit of personal experience in it, because it's not whether you have experienced it yourself, but you experience, you put yourself in a situation that you're writing about, and then I think you can't help but try to relate to whoever it is you're singing about, and how would you be in that situation. So I kind of feel like, each one of my songs has a little bit of personal experience in it, but I wouldn't say a massive amount of songs that I write are all about, I got something going on in my life, I got to get it out, and get it into music. A lot of the songs on this record were exactly that. They were songs that I had something on my mind, and some are a lot more personal than others. This one, like Far to Go, was very personal. So it's hard to. I can't give you a number how many songs I've written that are part of personal experience. But like again, I think as a writer, I think people will relate to the songs that you're writing if you can relate to the songs that you're writing. So I guess that's the best answer I can give on that.
John Ferber would love to hear you sing "My Heart Is on the Line."
my heart.
Include that on the next record.
My Heart Is on the Line. Another song I wrote by myself. I can't even think of the date that I wrote that one. It had to have been 89, 88 maybe. I can't remember. Very first song I ever got cut by a gentleman that I saw at church today, Mr. Lee Greenwood, who informed us he was also on Celebrity Wheel of Fortune, and he won it all. And
so he gave me all his tips and
gave
tricks.
us tips and tricks. But I played for Lee Greenwood for 5 years, and he honored me with giving me my very first cut, and it's called "My Heart Is on the Line." It's a pretty cool song. It's a real pop sounding thing, and I think I write better songs now than I did back then. But
there's a video floating around somewhere.
There's a video. It's on, if you want to go look, if you want to see me with a mullet. There is a video of Lee Greenwood and me singing that as a duet on television. It's called "My Heart Is on the Line." It's out there in the universe somewhere in YouTube world. So yeah, go have at it and make fun. I'll make all the fun you want.
No, you were cute. That's it.
That's it.
That's all.
All right. Well, thanks again, everybody, for joining me, and my lovely assistant, Reagan. I'm sorry, Wrigley's asleep. She should not be asleep though. It's 7 o'clock,
Yeah,
so
but-
she should not be.
Well,
But
I was up here, so I couldn't wake her up.
we had a long. I had a long night last night, and then we got up and went to church this morning, so she was a little bit zonked out. So she decided to take a little nap. But anyway, next week will be The Fighter, another song on my record that I'm super proud of, and we'll be discussing kind of where that came from, and
She's up.
and oh, she is,
Yeah.
and discuss also
Trying to find us.
also discussing the Tonewood amp, my little thing that I use. Again, this little box right here. It's a pretty cool little gizmo. I know that's probably backwards. It's just I just think it's cool. It's very. I mean, you're just playing just real dry guitars, you hanging out. It's kind of fun to play with that. Wrigley just woke up, so I don't know if she's going to make an appearance or not. But anyway, hope everybody has a great week, and we're going to be heading down. Like I said, so that. Oh, looky here! Look how sweaty this little girl is.
You're not going to believe what she was doing.
What?
She was in our room on the bed watching this on my iPad.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Say hi, everybody. Oh, you have to sit on Daddy's lap. Sorry.
Come up here and say hi to the people. She's a little sweaty.
Good morning.
Say hi, I'm Sweaty Betty.
I have Mickey shirt on.
She has a Mickey shirt on. That's right. Look at that.
From the
Whoa.
dance recital last year.
Yep. Well, okay. Well, that's it. That's fun. You want to say bye to everybody? Good deal.
Bye.
I have to go downstairs.
All right.
Okay, she has to go downstairs. All right. See you next week, 6 o'clock on Sunday, I reckon. Unless you hear different, but appreciate everybody hanging out with me. And you want to check my record out? It's called Beautiful Brand New Day. It's on iTunes and any place that you can buy music. And the physical CDs are in the works. So thanks again. See you next time.